All right. It says we are now live streaming. So thanks everybody for being here at CXC 2020. My name is Jersey Droz. I'm the interim executive director of CXC. And with me is Faith Erin Hicks, guest of the show, participated. Yes, there's her hands. There's her sketchbook. You see her all tiny at the top. And going to be doing some live drawing for the next half hour or so. Hello, Faith.
Hey, so glad to be here, Jersey. I always get a little nervous live sketching. I've done it like 3 times in my entire life. So those of you who are watching, feel free to ask me questions so I can kind of think about those instead of, the fact that people with eyeballs are watching me.
Okay, we'll do.
And my setup here is a little unstable, so I apologize if things are just, a little unstable. Oh yeah, just to get started, it has been like a million years since I did drawing with traditional media. I've just been concentrating on drawing my graphic novel, my latest graphic novel, and that's this digital traditional hybrid. So sitting down and actually sketching with a blue pencil, is something I haven't done in a few months. So apologies if I'm a little rusty. But I just thought I'd do like a little superhero girl drawing. Let's see, superhero.
Oh, awesome.
From my comic strip, The Adventures of Superhero Girl. It's fun, it's goofy, it's my silly take on superheroes, but she's a lot of fun to draw. But yeah, these are the pencils that I like using. These are they're pretty much the same as these Kohl Erase Prismacolor pencils, which are light blue. But this is a mechanical version of it. It's Pilot makes them. They're called Pilot Color Eno, whatever that means. But I just like the mechanical pencil because I'm an artist that like presses really hard on her paper. And this version helps me not damage my wrist as much. So I'm gonna do a little sketch of superhero girl, maybe with like a cat. And I'm a super messy artist, so you get to see what a disaster my artwork looks like.
I always describe sketching and like the initial stages as like I'm barfing out all the wrong lines so I can find the right lines.
I'm so envious of people who do like these beautiful, like perfect sketches. I am not those people. Like I've seen people draw and they don't do like construction lines or anything, and I am not one of those people. It's like I make a giant mess when I draw. But it's fine. I mean, all that matters is the result. So who cares about the actual process getting there? Just as long as you get there, right? Am I right? Right?
Can I get a heck yeah from the crowd? By the way, that's a reminder. Anybody who's watching live on our streaming services, if you have any questions or comments, I will relay them to Faith. Same as in the Discord.
Yeah, anything. Anything about comics, anything about, I don't know, life, the universe, everything. Please, by all means, ask me something. So I'm not sitting here feeling like, people watching with eyes. And I'm very bad at drawing cats. Like every time I draw a cat, it's like, it has to be like super cartoony because I'm so like bad with cat anatomy, even though I have a pet cat. I try and draw her sometimes, but she's not a very good model, I guess. So is this the last event of Cartoon Crossroads?
This is the last official event.
I'm closing out the show.
You're closing out the show. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
There. Okay. I'm now on the what am I trying to say? In the Discord, people were saying they couldn't see the video, so now I'm just screen sharing the Zoom. It's lower resolution if I do it that way, everybody. I'm gonna stop screen sharing. No, you're fine, Faith. You just keep going because the live stream is actually picking up your drawing.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know how else to make it darker. Unfortunately, the blue that I use is kind of light, so you're not going to see it as well as if it's like a pencil drawing. But I will be inking it, so hopefully people will be able to see that a little bit easier. So Superhero Girl is a pretty easy character to draw. She has a cape. She wears a t-shirt with a star on it, and she has like, I don't know what you call these masks. Are they called like domino masks?
I think so.
Just like a normal like superhero mask. And she's kind of like a generic looking character, which was a little bit intentional, because it was like I just wanted her to be this character who was kind of like, I don't know, hopefully would appeal to different young people and wouldn't be so, I don't know, just I kind of wanted her to be like not so specific, just this person, young person struggling in her daily life, struggling to make herself feel heard, struggling to find her way in the world. Ooh, this is bouncing up and down. Ooh, let's see. Okay, all right, we're fine. And yeah, she just wears like stretchy pants and boots. Yeah, I actually dressed up as her for Halloween like many years ago. So there's actually pictures of me like dressed up as Halloween, dressed up as superhero girl, and then my husband is dressed as Lupin from Lupin the Third, the anime, if people are familiar with that. So yeah, there we have just a basic little sketch, and it's a little, the proportions are a little lopsided. It's a little hard to draw with the camera right in front of my face. And then I usually draw on a slanted surface, which helps with proportions. But obviously this is a flat surface. So yeah, I just have the little sketch here. So I'm just gonna dive right, oh, come on. Keep hitting the camera with my head. Oops.
I've got like an overhead camera rig that I got off of Amazon a while back, and it's like I got a tripod thing and it hangs over, but I still have the devil of a time getting it in a position where it's not in the way of my head and it captures a good view of the drawing surface.
Yeah, I feel like I should invest in something, because it's like I never had the desire to stream my artwork or stream myself drawing before the pandemic happened. But now, since the pandemic has happened, I get a lot more. Oh my goodness, these LEDs are just snapping on me. Oh my goodness. The one downside of these mechanical pencil LEDs. But yeah, now I'm actually getting like requests to stream for, like digital festivals and things like that. And my setup is very janky, so oh no, this is the wrong brush.
Here comes the brush, everybody.
So here is the brush that I use. This is a Raphael Klinsky size 1, and it's a watercolor brush. And I was told about, I used to use these other watercolor brushes, the ones that Jeff Smith actually uses. I learned about them from reading an interview with him, the Winsor & Newton brushes. So those brushes, they're called Winsor & Newton Series 7. And I used those for many years, but I found that they were very expensive. They're more expensive than the Raphael. And then I just found that the bristles would break down much more quickly. So it was Tom Fowler who told me about this brush, the Raphael brush. He's an amazing inker and has done like tons of work with all kinds of comic book publishers. And yeah, so I've been using these brushes for, oh gosh, probably like 6 or 7 years, quite a few. So yeah, then I just dive in and start inking.
And you have described this as your favorite part.
Yeah, it is my favorite part. I love this part. It's just like all of the stresses of creating is over, and I just kind of get to like sit back and enjoy this Zen part of the process.
That is exactly right. Inking is so great because all you're worried about now is just finding that right line. All the construction is over, all of the thinking about inner life, personality, composition, it's all done. You did all that work at the initial stages, so now you just relax and enjoy the act of putting lines on paper.
Yeah, exactly. It can be a little scary sometimes because ink is permanent, but yeah, that's what fixing things in Photoshop is for.
That's true. A couple questions coming in. So Dirk is asking, what brand of ink are you using?
Oh, I like this is Koh-i-Noor, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, Koh-i-Noor drawing ink. I feel like maybe I started using it because I think I heard like Brian O'Malley talk about how how he liked it. Before that, I'd been using, shoot, what was it called? Speedball ink.
Yeah.
It's kind of this, I mean, it's perfectly fine, but I found that sometimes the ink, it wouldn't be as black as I wanted it to be. It would be a little bit on the gray side, felt a little like watered down. So I really like the Koh-i Noir. And it's quite cheap. I think it's like $6-7 for this bottle, and this will last me like a long time.
Brandon asks, I do have a question for Faith. What's your approach to choreographing your fight scenes? They're very grounded in the environment in Nameless City.
Oh, thank you. So for Nameless City in particular, I actually watched a lot of like Donnie Yen fight scenes on YouTube. And that's not to say that I copied them. I didn't. But I watched, I guess it's like trying to put the fluidity, just the fluidity of his movement in particular on the page. So I studied those fight scenes a lot, and then I did a lot of reading comics. Oops, sorry. I read a lot of comics that had really good fight scenes in them. So I've mentioned Full Metal Alchemist a few times. Full Metal Alchemist has amazing fight scenes. For American comics, I really like the fight scenes that, oh my goodness, why is my head blanking? Oh, here we go. Adam Warren. Yeah, the Empowered series. That series of comics is not, absolutely not for children. It is for adults, but man, he's so good at fight scenes. It's crazy. He was actually someone that I actually approached, and I was like, do you have any suggestions for reference for fight scenes? And he actually recommended like all of these Donnie Yen fight scenes. And I was like, oh, excellent. Thank you so much, Adam Warren. And then it was just a matter of sitting down and figuring out where you wanted the characters to like move in 3D space. So I found the fight scenes, it was like, they were hard to plot out, like figuring out where the characters were going, where, the climax of the fight scene would be and that kind of thing. But then once I actually sat down to draw them, I really enjoyed them. They were a lot of fun to draw. So thank you so much for asking. Really enjoyed that.
And Brandon agrees. Donnie Yen is the best, and Full Metal Alchemist fights are incredible.
I agree. Oh my goodness, yes.
Ada asks, how long does it take to come up with a scene?
So I assume, does she mean, or do they mean like a scene within a story, or like the overall story? What do
That's a good question. Let's ask for some clarification. We can follow up on that. So Ada, like specifically, do you mean like a small scene within a story, or like a large chunk of story, a chapter of a story? What's precisely do you mean by like a scene? And they're typing right now, so we'll see what they have to say.
We will wait for Ada. I will say that just overall, in terms of like coming up with stories that will be published, I feel like it takes me so long nowadays. Like it'll take me like 2 years to come up with something that I actually think is good enough to be published. And I don't know, I felt so creative when I was, I don't know, in college, and I had like all these story ideas that I wanted to share with the world. And now I'm like, oh no, I don't know what kind of story I want to do next. Yeah, I don't know. But I think some of that is just like, like drawing comics is my job, and I know kind of what publishers want to see and what they want to publish. So, I think some of that is like knowing what is sellable. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, Ada came back and said a scene within a story, like one picture on a page. So like, and I have a follow up on that, like just to like help like sort of build a broader picture around this question, is this idea of, I'm sure there are parts of your books where you can see the characters doing something without the context of them doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
So, I just wonder if you could expand on that and explain like the time and the process behind like building that into a book.
Oh yeah, of course. Let me grab, let's see. Oof. Let me just grab it here. Come with me. So I went in, so these are like my thumbnails. This is an example of thumbnails. This is actually from an upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender graphic novel that is not going to be drawn by me. It's going to be drawn by Peter Wortman, because I write the Avatar comics, but I don't draw them. But when I am figuring out the story for Avatar, I always do thumbnails first, and I don't give these to Peter, I just give him the script. But this really, these thumbnails help me figure out the pacing of the story and what the content will be within each panel. So I'm just basically doing this very, very rough blueprint. So sometimes I can really struggle with a scene, and like, I'm not sure what the visuals will be, like, I'm not sure what the characters will be doing. But a lot of times I just follow the emotion of the scene. Like, what is the character feeling? What do they want in this particular scene? What does the plot need? Like, if I have to get a character from point A to point B, like what will cause the character to go in that direction? That kind of thing. So sometimes it can take a while, and other times it can take like 5 minutes. So it really depends on what kind of writing day you're having. But I love using thumbnails to figure those things out. Oops. Oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely need to upgrade my my little setup here.
No, that sounds very true to me. Is there's moments where an image just like hits you and you're just like, that's something, I got to do something with that. And there's other times where it's like you literally walk around your studio or walk around outside for like an hour and it looks like you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely. So like for me in particular, like like going for a walk is like absolutely part of the process. It's like sometimes I have to go for a walk, and I have to give my brain some sort of break, because otherwise.
Yeah. It's almost like you got to let your body sort of like do something for a little while. Like I'll do dishes, or I'll just like do something that doesn't require a lot of thinking, so I can just like get lost in it, and then my brain sort of like does the work in the background while I'm doing this other thing, like going for a walk.
I mean, I know, it's this whole cliche of, oh, I was in the shower and all of a sudden it hit me, this amazing idea that I had for a book, or whatever, right? And I really think it's because, your body is physically doing something and your brain is kind of left to its own devices, and it can kind of like figure things out on its own. So yeah.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. So like not writing is actually like part of the process.
It totally is. And it sounds so counterintuitive, but it's absolutely true. Okay. Brandon is back with another question about your process.
Yeah.
What's your revision approach like since you thumbnail everything first? Do you find that you get a lot of your layouts right the first time, or is it more explorative than that?
Sometimes I find I get them right. Sometimes I have to go back and revise for sure. I feel like at this point, especially like the kind of comics that I do. So right now I'm working on an older middle grade graphic novel that is about girls on horses, and it will be announced very, very soon. So I'm really excited about that. It's a little bit based on my experiences as a horse crazy girl. And that one I actually found like fairly straightforward to draw. So like a lot of the thumbnails were very similar to what the finished page would be. Nameless City was a whole nother kettle of fish. That series was just like so hard. Oh my God. And then also with Nameless City, I found that sometimes the reference that I looked up would sometimes change the thumbnail. So, I'd be like, oh, I want a scene of these, the two main characters, Rad and Kai. I want a scene of them like running down a hallway. And then I would find, and I would draw it like a certain way in the thumbnail. And then I would find like reference for that hallway because the setting was very much influenced by Central Asia, and in particular 13th century China. So, I really wanted it to be at least look historically accurate, even though it wasn't completely based on history. So the reference would sometimes change what I had originally envisioned for the scene, because sometimes the reference would be completely different from what I originally envisioned. But yeah, I don't know. It really depends on the book. Yeah, my current book, it's like that one I feel like is pretty straightforward because of the kind of storytelling that I wanted to do. But yeah, Nameless City was just like all friggin' over the place.
Well, you described in your presentation during CXC 2020, you said that like when you're doing a web comic, the interaction with the audience as you're making it can change what it is. So I'm curious if like when you're going through your process procedure of making your book, there is points of contact with editors and with peers. Does that ever change it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I find that point that gets changed. So if you're working with an editor, for me, I like doing like two major points of contact with the editor. I want a lot of notes on the script as written after. So nothing has been drawn yet. Well, I mean, I've done like a thumbnail pass, but I don't show my editor that. And then I want revisions on pencils. And then, like generally that basically means that if there are heavy revision, or not heavy, but if all the major revisions are done at the script stage and then the pencil stage, then I don't have to worry about major revisions at the ink stage, because basically the book has had like two major passes with both me and my editor. So yeah, like it's easy to revise at the pencil stage, again, because I work digitally. And it's easy to revise at the script stage. So those are the 2 points where it's like, with my editor, it's like, I really want, if she has any concerns, anything that she thinks will be an issue later on, then we need to deal with it then. Because
Okay,
like,
sorry, Faith.
Yeah. No, go on.
I have a question about feelings.
Oh yes, of course.
Now, for people who have not gone through the process of making an entire graphic novel, maybe have gone through the process of drawing a thing, right? Like Kazu once, I think, very succinctly summed it up, where the creative process is step 1, this is going to be awesome. Step 2, this is hard. Step 3, this is terrible. Step 4, I'm terrible. Step 5, hey, not so bad. Step 6, that was awesome. When you're going through these rounds of revisions and feedback, can you describe what it feels like when you're in the middle and you're not sure what it's going to be yet?
I mean, it's hard. It's always hard. You always want to nail it on the first try. At this point, it's like I've done enough comics and I've worked with enough editors that it isn't too much of an issue for my ego, to be honest.
Sure.
Like I'm used to the notes. That's not to say I don't disagree with some of them at sometimes. And also the editors that I'm currently working with, like Callista Brill at First Second Books, like I've worked with her for like 10 years. So I trust her, I absolutely trust her. And I've never had an experience with her where we strongly disagreed on something and like she insisted or something like that. Like that's never happened. I like it when she gives me notes because I feel like it makes my books so much better. Mm-hmm. Sorry, did that answer the question?
No, it did. It did. So, like, what I'm inferring from that is that you have a lot of evidence behind you that you can turn to say, okay, look, you've been through this, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
like, yeah.
Sorry. The harder notes for me to get are usually like avatar notes, because like those notes are very specific to the show, because it's someone else's property. So like sometimes like I can get so nervous about avatar notes because I'm working with people who have worked on the show, and who like know Avatar as a property like really intimately. So sometimes I can get like so scared because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm working with these total pros, and like it can be very nerve-wracking. But at the end of the day, it's like they're never bad. Like it's always like, oh, try this for this character, or try this, or like what about this, and that kind of thing. So yeah. Oh, this is the main character of my newest graphic novel, the one that has not been announced yet. Her name is.
Aha!
Yeah.
Everybody, take a look. Jana, you were watching. You asked about future projects. There it is.
Yeah. So this is the main character. She's horse crazy, or was horse crazy, and has gone through this incredible upheaval in her life. And now she's, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say anything because there's a lot of like drama in this book, drama that is actually based on some real life experiences that I had. Also, like the breakup of one of my childhood best friends and just the fallout from that. And then, yeah, it's all not all about horses. It's also a little bit about Star Trek.
All right, so we got some more questions. Dirk is asking, when you have an idea for a new story, how do you know it will be something you think you can publish? Is it just a gut feeling, or do you feel it out with your agent, editor, and or comics colleagues? If you can map around, vaguely speaking, what the deciding factor looks like, if you can identify it?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I definitely am at the stage in my career, like I'm definitely at like a mid-career stage where I'm established in a certain genre and a certain age group. Like I'm typically expected to do stories about younger characters, either in a middle grade age range, like Nameless City was middle grade, and or young adult. So Friends with Boys was, I mean, that one skews a little bit on the young side, but it is about a teenager. So I'd say that's like young YA, and then Pumpkinheads is definitely like very firmly YA. And so is Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong. So that's a big criteria. It's like, do I have a story idea that is about young people, either in the middle grade or the YA range? Like, I have an idea for a story that is a space horror story, like science fiction horror, which is like one of my favorite genres, but it's like, I'm never, like I probably am never going to do that. I'm just going to like, keep it in my head and covet it for all the times, I don't know.
It's funny, you can't, like, it's hard for graphic novelists to do pen name work, isn't it? Like you can't just like operate under a different name because your work is so identifiable.
Yeah, well, it's not that it would be unpublishable. It's that doing a comic is so time consuming and it takes me like at least a year. I don't want to invest a huge chunk of time into something that might not sell. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I sound, hopefully I don't sound too mercenary saying this, but it's like, this is my job, and I love it very much. And over the last 12 years that I've done this job, I've been very fortunate to do comics that I wanted to do. And I want to keep doing that, but I also want to get paid. So, like I do love making, oh, her braids are completely lopsided. Please excuse. So it's like, I do love making stories about teenagers and preteens. So, those are the stories that pay the bills for me and, allow me to continue to make comics. So that's, yeah, I want to be able to continue to make those kinds of stories. So yeah, like that's the big criteria. It's like, is the story about a young person? But yeah, I don't know. It's really hard sometimes coming up with something will be sellable. At this point, I've only spent like time developing a story that did not get published once. So I've been very fortunate to not have a lot of rejections under my belt. And also, I kind of know what kind of stories my publisher likes from me. My publisher meaning First Second, who I've had like a very long relationship with. So I do kind of think about what they want from me in particular. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like I actually have a couple of ideas in my head right now, and I don't know, I'm looking around for my pen. I don't know if either one of them, because they're both like YA ideas, and I don't know if, oh, there was a little bug. I don't know if either one of them are entirely sellable. I'm not quite sure. But that's fine. That's usually when you try and find like a writer to work with so you can keep working.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your talk earlier at CXC as well. I think that's a really great idea. Is like not like giving yourself time to charge your batteries by teaming up with somebody every other year.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Work collaborating is great. Like I love writing for other artists, but I've never written a script for another artist that's original. It's always been licensed work. because I just don't have enough original ideas to like, give away to other artists like this. So like this idea, the girls and horses idea, originally I wanted to develop it as an original idea that someone else would draw. And then I don't know, it just eventually felt not right doing that because it was based a little bit on my childhood and my experiences as a young horse crazy girl. So I drew it myself.
So I want to respect your time, but do you have time to get like maybe one or two more questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so one, we got a comment from Connie is saying like, well, actually, it's a question, but just expressing wonder that you don't turn the page around while you're inking. Are you just doing this for the performance, or do you actually not turn the page around?
No, I do normally turn it around. Yeah, so I'm just keeping it stable for you guys. But yeah, like I will turn it because you get nicer lines. Like I don't know, you guys probably can't see, but like these lines are not up to my normal inking standard. But I also think that's the fact that I'm inking on like this flat surface as opposed to one that is tilted.
This is not your normal scenario, and yes, I'm also peppering you with questions while you're drawing. So, Kaku Girl 297 is in the chat and is first of all expressing great admiration for you, saying, your favorite graphic novel author artist, nothing can possibly go wrong, is my favorite work of yours.
Oh,
and when you were drawing this character, Kaku Girl said, "Yay, another new project! I'm so stoked, and already I don't even know what it's about, but still excited." But then asking a question about style, developing your style. Could you explain a little bit about how that evolution happened, and like maybe how long it took before you could say like, okay, that's what defines my style?
So this is actually the number one question that I get from young artists. And my advice to you is don't worry about developing your style, just draw. Your style will emerge naturally, and it will be influenced by things like art that you enjoy. It will also be influenced by your technical skills. So for a while, I really struggled with my quote unquote style. And in order to make, and this was, I want to say it was like 2007, 2008. I had a really difficult time drawing. I felt like my artwork didn't look, I don't know, it just didn't look good to me. And I really tried, because I was so frustrated with the work that I was doing, I really tried to force a drawing style. And what actually worked is to not do that, to not try and force a drawing style, but instead to focus on improving my drawing fundamentals. So that meant going to life drawing class, like studying the human body, going out and drawing from real life. And to be honest, I really hated that part, like doing life drawing, developing your drawing fundamentals. That's the part of drawing that's like eating your veggies, like it's not fun. I would much rather, sit at home and draw like my OCs rather than going to life drawing class. But after those 2 or 3 years of really hardcore developing my art style or developing my drawing fundamentals, my drawing style like settled down and it became much more appealing. And my drawings looked so much more solid. So that is my advice. Don't try and force a drawing style. Don't try and develop it, but just draw. Just focus on your fundamentals, go to life drawing class, go sit in cafes and like draw people, drinking coffee. Well, maybe don't do that right now because we are in the middle of a pandemic, but you could draw from photographs or, like go online and there's online life drawing courses and that kind of thing. And you'll see a big improvement and your style will emerge out of developing those fundamentals.
That's great. Yeah, I think that sounds very similar to advice I've heard from other artists as well. And Kaku Girl says, okay, thank you so much. I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
You got time for one last one?
Great. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this one is asking what pitches look like. And I imagine that the pitches that you turn in now look a lot different than when you started. And change publisher to publisher.
Yeah, so I can mostly only speak to pitching original graphic novels, and I haven't checked up on it, so I'm not sure. Hopefully it's still available online, but I did post the pitch for Friends with Boys, on my website, and you can find it there. I don't know. Someone emailed me recently and was like, "Hey, there's a lot of dead links on your how-to page." So hopefully it's still there. I'm kind of bad with keeping up with my website, so I will double check and repost that pitch if it has, I don't know, gone into the internet ether. But pitches for original graphic novels, they're more like my agent described them, it's more like a nonfiction book proposal. So you're basically showing the publisher what the book would look like when it's finished. Hopefully, you're not presenting them with a finished book. You're presenting them with the idea of a finished book. So usually, I will include a few pages of sequential art. So showing what the comic will look like. In my most recent pitch, the pitch for this graphic novel, I only did 3 pages of sequentials because, like my publisher knows what my art looks like. And those pages were inked and colored and lettered. And then I included a story outline. So story outline is just basically the entire story written in summary form, just going through all of the beats of the story, and they vary in length. Like I think the story outline for this book was maybe 3 pages, but for Nameless City, the story outline for book 1 of 3 was 14 pages long. So like that one was much more detailed. And then I'll include artwork showing what the world would look like. So, sketches of maybe girls with horses, girls at a horse barn, and then character sketches, and then also like character summaries. So, talking about who the character is, what does she want in this story? What is he, what are his goals, that kind of thing. So they're pretty straightforward. I find that like making a pitch that is successful and like straightforward and shows the publisher what the publisher wants from the book is really hard. And yeah, I've had many pitches rejected but like only, I don't know, I've pitched a lot for like licensed stuff and have not had my pitches picked up. But with original stuff, I guess I just seem to do better at original stuff. Because yeah, I don't know. Like I've been asked by one of the big 2 publishers. I've been asked by them to like pitch so many times, and I'm always like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I put together a pitch, and I just never hear anything back. And I'm like, oh, I guess they didn't like my vision for their copyrighted character. So yeah, I just seem to do a much better job with the original stuff. But yeah, it's like sequential art, like a few pages of sequential art, character artwork, maybe some world building artwork, and then your story outline. So yeah, I mean, it's not a huge package. But that's basically what the publisher wants to see.
Hey, thank you so much for taking time to spend with us and draw and answer questions from your fans and readers. That this was really generous of you.
No problem. This was really fun. Hopefully, if you guys do this again at some later point, hopefully I will have a better camera setup. But yeah, thank you so much.
This is pretty clear. I mean, I'm watching it on my second screen. It looks very clear on the Twitch stream. So if everybody in the chat could give Faith a round of applause. And we'll look forward to the next book with the horse crazy girl.
Yes, yeah, it'll be announced very soon. I'm so excited. But yeah, thank you so much. This was lovely.
Thanks, everybody. Stop the live stream too.
Yeah, let's see.